we go. Here we go. While we're waiting for a couple of people to log on here, there's a lot of stuff going on tonight. There's fundraisers and a lot of political stuff. So
busy day.
It is.
It's the season.
That's right.
It's the season.
Just going to verify that we're recording. And that would be the case live. 32. Okay.
So give shout outs to everyone that's watching.
Yep. So welcome to this edition of, and it looks like, all right, here we go. We got some people coming on here of Meet Your Future Mayor. And I'm doing these episodes of interviews for my own curiosity and also just so we can have a little more one-on-one with the person that will lead our city for the next 4 years. There are 8 candidates this year. It becomes very important that we get out and vote on November 7th. And we've got a wide range of candidates. So the more we know, the better we grow. So I've also I've been a little flighty tonight. I've lost my notes on the way here, so I'm looking at this screen here, and I've got a few notes here, and I might share some notes with Lemi. But tonight we have Lemi Tilahun, who is really been an amazing community volunteer for much of his life since he was 9 years old. And he has also, when he came in today, if I could show I got to show this off here. He came in with the presidential seal. He's worked in the White House. Sorry about that. He worked on international trade relations under the Obama administration. He helped the president with his correspondence and had some public engagement initiatives. So got quite the history in politics as well. He also did constituent service with Senator Harkin. So he's got a really interesting background. We're about ready to hear more about it. So Lemi Tilahun, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
Right.
Just want to give you a quick kudos for being so innovative and having the imagination to do this thing, because I think this is the first of its kind that we're seeing.
All right.
As many candidates as we get here in Cedar Rapids, I'm actually a bit surprised that you were able to bring this together. I think
all right.
That's pretty cool. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So all the questions that I'm going to ask you, I'm going to mix it up a bit again because my notes are a little off, but they were all submitted by people on Facebook when I said that I was going to do these, and so I've got a couple icebreaker questions. The interesting thing to know, really like to have some questions from the audience. So I'm going to try to figure that out. So if you want to throw questions up now, you can. We're going to ask a few and then look at the screen and get some good questions off of that. And if not, we'll keep going with the standard questioning. So this is a big one here, Lemi. What do you get on your pizza?
I keep it simple. The best to me is plain cheese. I'm good with that, but if I have to get a little creative, I like to throw on some chicken and margarita pizza. Nice. You get the tomato, basil, and the chicken.
All right. That'll work. So there's a growing fashion movement in Cedar Rapids, and we had somebody ask, "Who are you wearing?"
That's very, very interesting. Usually, people wouldn't think of Cedar Rapids as a place where fashion is a growing trend, but I'm wearing mostly Joseph Abood, exclusively found at the Men's Warehouse. So shout out to the place of work there. Gentlemen, if you are looking for good custom suits, we got them for you, which I'm wearing today.
Nice.
And ladies, we got some for you too, for your men, of course.
Nice. All right. I'm trying to get my technology in place here.
Get in sync.
What was it like growing up in your household?
Pretty interesting, to say the least. I grew up in a multicultural, multi-generational household. So as the middle child, I feel like I was the one that got left out the most. So kind of forgotten child role, but also the one that everyone calls when they need an answer or something.
Right.
I'm the go-to guy.
Right.
So I embrace that role.
All right.
So at least that's how it works out in my head.
All right. Okay. So how'd you get into volunteering initially?
I was just inspired by, ordinary acts that ordinary people do, and make a nice impact. I grew up, my childhood home was just a few blocks from where we are right now, and there was the HDU Center. And that was the first place that really gave us a nice place to go to and be able to interact with different people.
2 blocks away from
Yeah,
here.
2 blocks away. We had organizations coming through, neighbors that were needing help, and so I was available, and I was ready to lend a hand.
Nice. Nice. So let me lend a hand. That's awesome. All right, let's get into some good questions here. Not that those weren't good, but some
nitty-gritty.
Nitty-gritty. Yep. So do you have any ideas to reduce the gang and gun violence in Cedar Rapids?
So Cedar Rapids has, we've done a good job in reducing some of the things that have plagued our community for a bit. And that's due to the fact that we're more willing now, stepping forth to have that conversation. But there's still a lot of work to do. And one of the ways that I believe it'll make a difference is involvement centered around youth engagement. I can't emphasize that enough. I think investing in getting young people involved in engaging them early really goes a long way, and the return on investment there is really great. So dynamic programs that educate and redirect and provide leadership training rather than just fancy task forces. Okay. I think we sometimes get carried away and will set a task force.
Yep.
And then forget that to assign these task force specific duties or some sort of direction. So I think having that specific set guidelines that will not only be used as a routine or as a procedural references thing, but also provide training. I think that's one thing that gets overlooked. By us being directly involved in the neighborhoods, by us taking that responsibility and being a good neighbor, we could change a lot. And there's an opportunity always for improvement. And that's where our opportunity is, investing and engaging our youth early.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I kind of heard you say that the task force is maybe a little bit of a buzzword that people use to.
It's that drives tolerance. I think we should be looking to understand and get to know our neighbors, as opposed to, hey, here's a task force with really important people, and there's a bit of a disconnect there. And so when I see task force, I said, how is this task force going into the neighborhoods and directly addressing the problem? Yeah. And finding solutions, of course.
That's a good question. All right. So next question. What plans do you have to collaborate with the CR School District to increase student achievement and provide future-ready options for high school graduates?
That's a very good question. And coming out of high school, I knew I had one option and one option only, and that's to go to college, get educated, and become successful, or at least do something productive. That was the expectation that was put on me at home, and of course also from everybody else who invested in me. The one thing that I always thought about was, how come there weren't any other expectations, from the community? I know there are some things that go without saying. Education may be the route for most of the people, but for some of those who education wasn't even a possibility, why weren't there internship programs, externships, trade jobs, trainings? All these things were not available. So what out is, from first day as mayor, I'll be sitting down with the school districts and really engaging and asking, how can we improve and how can we be a better resource? And that is through reestablishing a mayor's youth council. I think that goes directly to the source and to inspire the people that we are trying to keep around here. So establishing that mayor's youth council, getting the input from youth, start to find out and figure out placement options, whether it's in government, whether it's in the private sector with small businesses, and really looking for ways to use the talents of some of our high school graduates and putting them to work and training them for the real world, as opposed to just saying, hey, here's a qualification, go take tests and see where you get into. Ideally that stuff is nice if you're a good tester and if these things are culturally relevant to you. But if they're not, what other options are there? And so I want to be the mayor that brings that back and works with the school districts and find those opportunities where youth can have workforce and real world training.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, you have to balance the whole education versus economic development, blend them together, and it's a good segue into the next question. So, how can we drive a stronger labor force? We've heard that it's hard to get employees around here. So,
yeah, that's also what I've been hearing upon my conversation with a lot of people is, recruiting young people who are interested or who care has been very hard. And I say, we always talk about this inclusivity and really bringing young people, but are we really going to them and seeing, hey, young people, there's an opportunity. How can we use you here? How can we get your value?
Yep.
How can we get you to enrich our community? I think that's the questions that we should be asking and recruiting aggressively by, selling and marketing to them. This is a great place with a good pace of life. Cost of living is ideal, pretty much the best nationwide.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And hey, let's get you into put in an externship program, an internship program. Let's get you trained up so that when it's time to really recruit and hire, we can hire locally, which is going to be beneficial because it keeps the money circulating here. Homegrown talent, so we're not experiencing brain drain at the same rate as we are now, and really having a young workforce that's readily available.
Yep.
So that we can also make the pitch for other companies that may want to come and invest in Cedar Rapids, but are kind of afraid because you might have an aging population, or you're a family-based city, so we don't want to take the chance of interfering with that family life. So, hey, having a readily available young workforce that is trained. We've got colleges within reach, so we certainly got the resources.
Yep.
We're forgetting to ask how, and
there we go. We got to give it. So it's time. We're going to try to take a couple questions from people if they have them. So if you're on, throw a question our way. I did get a text a minute ago that was asking about public transportation. So do you have any ideas on public transportation?
Public transportation in Cedar Rapids has been one of my biggest concerns. It's been on the list of priorities for me, really. I used to take public transport to get around. And then at that time, it was good because I haven't been exposed to much. But the more I've gotten out and seen how other cities our size have their public transport system set up, really it bugs me a lot that Cedar Rapids doesn't have that. First of all, it doesn't make any sense to me that we have a bus system, a public transit that's supposed to be serving the community. However, runs very unreasonable times, and it doesn't really accommodate anybody.
Okay.
And the other thing is the time of travel. There are opportunities there where we can cut down and make it really efficient. We've got, in order to take a bus to get across town, you have to make 2 stops. One is you get on, and it's your final destination. Second is where you have to go transfer at the ground transportation center. The way that is set up, the mechanism or the thinking is a bit shaky.
A lot of transfers.
Yeah, a lot of transfers.
Yeah.
I mean, why are we having to go through that? Some people got to get
London.
to work. Yeah,
it's not London.
It's not London.
Right.
We certainly can make our. We certainly have enough buses, I believe.
Yeah.
We're just not using them to their full potential, and I think with my public transportation plan and really wanting and bringing forth the idea of connecting the neighborhoods. It's kind of, I don't know how to, from my house, I can't get to Nubo on public transportation without spending about an hour commuting here.
Yeah.
And that's just about a 4 or 5 mile. I can jog here fast.
Right.
from my doorsteps to Nubo. So public transit really does connect the community, and we need to look for ways to make sure that it is, one, accommodating and serving the people that need it the most. Because mobility is really a key to success in a competitive economy that we have here in Cedar Rapids. Some people don't also work the 9-to-5 jobs, so we must look for ways to accommodate, increase the ridership, and also think of other alternatives. Think outside the box of, hey, if the city cannot afford or manage to run the public transit system, let's talk about private and public partnerships and start there, because privatizing really does increase competition. And you know what competition brings? Quality.
Right.
So
good prices and quality. Nice. All right. So all right. What work will you do towards creating a sustaining safe and healthy affordable housing in Cedar Rapids?
Affordable housing, much like public transportation, is also another key factor in upward mobility for people. The problem with public housing here in our city has been, it's always had kind of a negative connotation. Public housing is not a handout. Public housing barely mean that it's a place where you kind of collect a suspect bunch and just put them together, the nobodies. It really is a place where it gives people who aren't able to afford good homes and put some and it's extending a lending hand until they get back on their feet. And having public housing is an important place because, one, it keeps our youth off the streets, decreases homelessness. It's a collaborative and a collective effort to really put it. And one of my plans is, as mayor, I am certainly going to consider every option that will lead to allocating some of the public lands and building affordable housing, whether it's for workforce, for working families, single families, efficiency homes. And there are lots of ways that we can use the space that we have been blessed with to really impact and make our community better. And that's through looking at options that are, I guess you'd call non-conventional. We're used to doing things the same way in this town for a long time, and we've gotten complacent. So we need a change of culture in looking at other options that may help create, different competitions, bring in different, fresh perspective.
Yeah, it's tricky because so at Bohemia here, we have employees that can't afford to live, can't find a place to live around here, and then it gets that whole thing about how to get to work, but it's getting more and more expensive to live in the hot spots of the city, and it's going to be challenging.
It is challenging, and it's sad to see. Gentrification really does impact every corner of our city. Yep. And so, if we want to be able to have a thriving community, and also keep the cost of living and the all the other benefits and perks that we enjoy, that Cedar Rapids brings us, we got to look at ways to be. We got to talk to our neighbors. We got to get out there and say, hey.
Yep.
Communicate our message effectively and clearly. Yeah. And it's all about messaging too. Yeah. And it takes somebody who really does understand and comes out and says, hey, look, public housing, affordable housing, these are great things because these are what help people get on their feet and get them to be productive. Give them an opportunity and kind of even the playing field. Yeah. It's not a handout. Yeah. We're not giving you a home that you can trash and have no ownership in it. When you have affordable and good housing programs, what that does is really increases the value of the city even more, because these working families have more expendable cash to be able to use and contribute to our economy.
Yep. Absolutely. All right.
Have we gotten any questions from those who are listening?
I've only had the one texted in, and then Amy Johnson says that you're impressive, and she gives you props for running.
Well, thank you, Amy. Yeah. I hope that it's not just the compliment. Let's get out and earn your vote on the 7th.
Exactly. But so we have 6 minutes left. We're trying to keep these around 30 minutes. Cool. So I'm going to go to this next question, then we'll do the final questions. And if something pops in, we'll do it. I know that there are a lot of political events happening tonight. The majority of the views of these videos happen after the fact. So, I've had a very few live viewerships, and we get thousands of views over the course of the weeks.
That's good.
Forthcoming. So this question is about streets. Our current plan for street repair doesn't address large numbers of smaller residential streets within the next 10 years. It impacts the resale values, not to mention issues with transportation, which we've discussed. But what do you have in your toolbox for a comprehensive street plan?
This is an issue, I think, that just has unanimous agreement across the board. Everyone is fed up with how poorly our streets have been, and our infrastructure is crumbling, it's aging, and I think we need to modernize. So simply put,
Mm-hmm.
the locals, the penny tax, which has been being used to kind of paving for progress and all these things, kind of been a slow progress, but it's a good first step. I am a believer that we need to start looking at other ways to fix up our streets, whether it means looking for private and public partnerships and fund that. Residential areas kind of taking the issue into their own hands per se and fixing them. And the other thing is, we live in Cedar Rapids where we have that traffic issue as much, Yep. We have our times, but we certainly have gotten through our streets, majority of our streets being out of use, and we've survived and we've been resilient. So if we need to, let's shut a street down, let's fix it the right way the first time, so that we're not repaving and working on the same patch over and over again. For as long as I can remember, First Avenue has had a construction every single summer.
Right.
And so,
just do it.
Let's just get the whole thing done. And